Fellow artists, picture this. A spark of inspiration hits you and you want to start an art project, but the thought of not being able to put anything onto paper daunts you, or maybe you're hit with the motivation to improve your drawing. So I want to look for references to start practicing your art skills. So you sit down to open Pinterest and you find yourself endlessly scrolling. When you finally land on that cool art or photo, it turns out to be an ad, or worse, AI generated. At this point, if you're like me, you start to lose all hope for the future of art and to even consider completing an art piece, let alone start an art practice. But I am here to tell you that there are good references out there, and I want to share with you 5 alternatives to Pinterest that can save you from ads, AI, and endlessly doom scrolling. Hello, my name is Christine, or Loveaholic, and I am a self-taught artist who is still learning and growing and building my way to becoming a full-time artist. And I wanted to share any lessons that I've learned along my art journey in case it helps anybody out there. I am also here to tell you, as a fellow creative person, to never give up.
Yeah! Wort's right. Never give up. Come on, Wort. Let's go save the day.
I know that the convenience of selecting and pinning images to a Pinterest board is the appeal, and some of the resources that I'm going to share with you are going to have a little bit more effort, but trust me when I say that it is a lot more rewarding, and the amount of time it takes for that little effort is definitely a lot less than endlessly scrolling for hours just to find one reference photo. So I think, in my opinion, it is very well worth it. I also have a bonus tip at the end, which is my favorite as of late, so stick around for that. So the first resource I'm going to share with you is called Unsplash. It's not public domain, but it is free to use for personal, commercial, and editorial use. You do not need to ask for permission or provide credit, although it is appreciated, and I think I agree with that sentiment. The site is powered by creators for creators, so they do not endorse the use of AI, which we love to see it. It's pretty much the perfect place for not just references, but for images to actually use for your blog or your newsletter or something along that nature. And once you do search for what you want to look for and scroll through the site, you will kind of notice that the pictures are not quite as polished and aesthetic as the ones on Pinterest, but with the growing rise of AI and just manufactured over perfect content, I am actually really appreciating the imperfections of human creation. I love that I can tell that they were made with human hands and how much effort they put into making it. I use Unsplash a lot for my newsletters and to practice my portrait and my anatomy sketches, so I highly recommend using that site. The second resource I wanted to share with you is called Raw Pixel. This is a site that holds public domain art and design from the masters. So think Gustav Klimt, Vincent van Gogh, Claude Monet, Luca, etc. It is great for, again, master studies, which, to be honest, I am still a little hesitant to try since it's a little daunting for me at the moment. But I have heard really great things about this practice to learn about how the artists simplify lighting, composition, colors, and how they make them look visually pleasing. And I think it's also a really great resource for really cool artifacts or even fabric details, especially if you're studying something that you've never studied before and that you want to incorporate into like your fantastical or medieval adjacent artwork. My third resource I wanted to share with you is called archive.org. This is a nonprofit library of free to use texts, movies, software, websites, and much more. And they are mostly, but not all of them, are public domain. I'm quite new to this resource and I haven't used it very often, but I thought it was cool to share since it's a very useful site for educational purposes, since art does require some research and inspiration for specific topics as well. Now, this fourth resource is, I think, the most versatile, whether it's for your art practice or for your project. That is to not underestimate your camera roll. I love to use pictures that I took on a fun outing or when I was traveling, take snaps of cool buildings, and interiors along the way, or even beautiful furniture and statement pieces. I mostly use these images for practice, but you can also use them for final projects as well. They feel really raw and real, and it's a really great way to observe how people interact with objects and just the world in general around them. You can also take a photo of yourself and do poses that you can't find online. And I personally have not done this yet since I am a little bit self-conscious about how I look. And I've been lucky enough to find the references that I needed so far, but I wanted to share because I am still open to trying it, and it's definitely a common practice among artists as well. I even recommend using screenshots of photos or videos that you find online, as long as you use them for personal use or give credit if you decide to share what you created. By using real life images, it'll be a lot more easier to incorporate your own flair and style and personal interpretations of how you visualize that scene or object or person in space. It is also a very grounding practice for me, so I highly recommend that if you haven't tried that yet. And my fifth resource is something that I've only tried once, but I definitely want to do more because it was so fun. And that is to use a still image from a movie or a television show. And you can use them to study or gain inspiration from it. Examples of images from film would be any film by Wes Anderson, a whole archive of just eye-pleasing goodness. I also recommend Arcane, Pride and Prejudice, maybe even Emma, maybe like any of those Victorian era is really inspiring, like Bridgerton, especially season 2. I really enjoy the colors in that show. So you can put on your favorite movie or television show, and when a certain scene just seems to catch your eye, you can just take a photo of it or even just look it up online somewhere. I'm sure the scene is iconic enough that it's preserved somewhere online. And you can just draw, paint, and study it while you just watch your movie. This is definitely a great practice for your observational skills, and you improve on what you actually want to learn in the comfort of your own home, such as lighting, coloring, character design. Possibilities are endless, but it's basically an adjacent to a master study, except I think it's a little bit more fun. It's definitely a really great grounding practice and also something that you can do on the go, especially if you're in an airplane and you can just pick any movie you want. And if you have made it this far, you've made it to the bonus resource for references, and it's my favorite as of late. And that is to hang your favorite artist's work or prints, whatever, along the walls or the space where you feel the most creative. One day I was looking at my wall and I wanted it to look a little less bland and a little less white. So I decided to decorate my wall, and not only did it brighten up and warm up my place, it helped me feel more grounded and more focused on my artwork. And let me explain. Since I tend to get really distracted on social media every time I set my eyes on a phone screen, this method has been a great and subtle way to prevent me from reaching my phone in the first place. That is because inspiration is literally right in front of my face. With this method, I can just look up and see how my favorite artists simplify certain shapes and shading, and it has been so helpful in improving my art and just helping me keep focused while I work alongside my favorite artist's work. So I highly recommend, if you have been storing away all your art prints like I have for years and I haven't put it up on my wall until now, this is your sign to try it. You don't need a fancy frame, although it's your prerogative. Go ahead, get a frame. I recommend getting a frame to protect your art, but I just wanted to do it before my motivation went away, so I just used washi tape and put it up, and I think it has a cool little rustic look to it. So before I wrap this up, I wanted to mention one thing, is that I didn't recommend Cosmos as a resource for references, and I know a lot of people use Cosmos as like a Pinterest alternative. I definitely have tried to use it. It is very aesthetic. I love the vibes, not gonna lie. I really loved it. I even signed up and everything. But I noticed that they do use AI generated art, and that kind of makes me sad because I really love the way the layout is like. So I do not recommend Cosmos. It's your prerogative to use it, but it does use AI generated art. I wanted you to be aware of that. I hope this was helpful for you, and let me know if you have any alternatives to Pinterest that are no ads and no AI. I would love to know, and please share them down in the comments so other people can see them as well and help each other out. Let me know if you want me to do a video on how to use your references wisely, since I think it does contribute to a more rewarding art practice while also being efficient with your time. With that, my name is Christine, or Loveaholic. I share my love of art, the creative process, and the small joys of my daily life. I hope you take good care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Happy creating. much.